again, and you don't have to follow me in this step because I have to take the developer tab out. Okay, if you do not see the developer tab, the way to add developer tab is go to the file, go to option, go to customize ribbon, and on the customize ribbon menu, you select developer tab, and after that, you click OK. Once you click OK, you will see the developer tab appear inside the ribbon. We are going to use this developer tab from today until the last day of the semester, last week of the semester. Therefore, if you have any problem, please raise your hand. If you do not have the developer tab appear in your ribbon, please raise your hand. Okay. If not, then actually what we are going to do today is exactly the same as what we did in the first week, and that is to calculate CA, CB, CC at any time from time equal to 0 up until time equal to 20. And later on, we're going to plot the curve between T, CA, CB, and CC. For today, we are going to record the macro. The first macro that we are going to record is the one that calculates CA, CB, and CC. Okay? Then we are going to record the second macro to plot curve. And after that, we're going to add the input box, message box, and call macro into the first record macro. Again, if you have any question, you can stop me at any time. But please do not forget what we have learned in the first week. For example, when you're gonna put the dollar sign, okay? Because we are going to study the course, and the course that we are studying must use the knowledge that we have obtained in the first week. Okay. Are there any questions? If not, then I am going to record macro by first clicking on this button. After I click this button, you can see this window, and I'm gonna name the macro call CACBCC. Please do not do anything else except the procedure that I have demonstrated. Otherwise, what you are doing will be also recorded in the macro. Okay, so please do not do anything else except the step that I have demonstrated. Otherwise, the one that you are doing will also be recorded in the macro, and that might cause the error. Okay, and the description, I am going to write it so that when we run the macro or when we edit the macro, we know that what is this macro about. This is to calculate CA, CB, and CC in a batch reactor for A to B and then B to C. Okay? After you click OK, please be careful on the procedure you have performed on Microsoft Excel. Otherwise, the incorrect procedure will also be recorded. Are there any questions? Okay, if not, then let me record the macro. And I hope you still remember that the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to type CA0, and we are going to make this this A0 become subscript. Then I am going to put in the value of 1.5 molar for CA0. And then I am going to make then I am going to move on to K1. and I am going to make this one as subscript. And I am going to type in the value of K1 as 0.5, and the unit will become minute second minus 1. And I am going to make this minus 1 as superscript. And I am going to copy this K1 and paste it, and later on change it to become K2. And then I am going to adjust the value to so that it become 0.2. And I am going to make this CA0, K1, and K2 as bold. And I am going to make this cell as yellow highlighted. Everything that I have done since the beginning is recorded into the macro, but I have not done yet because I have to write the heading of the table. And I hope you remember that the first one I did is T in the unit of second. Later on, it's going to be CA in the unit of molar, and I am going to make my A as subscript. And I am going to do the copy and paste so that I can change CA to become CB, and I can change CA to become CC. And I am going to start fill in the first value of time, and that is 0. The second value for today, I am going to put it as 0.5, and I am going to do the copy and paste so that my time increase to 20. Okay. After that, I am going to put in the formula for CA. So it's become CA0. I hope you still remember what you have learned in the first week because it's gonna be follow the same procedure. Minus K1 multiplied by T. And that is the formula for CA that we have done in the first week. For the CB, it's going to be the same similar formula as the one we did in the first week. So it's become K1 multiplied by CA0 divided by K2 minus K1 multiplied by the difference between exponential minus K1. Sorry. Multiplied by T. Okay? Minus exponential minus K2 multiplied by T. Okay? When you have the opening parenthesis, you must have the closing parenthesis. And we are going to calculate CC, and CC will become CA0 minus CA at any time minus CB at any time. And what we are going to do next is we are going to do the copy and paste. And what we are going to do next is we are going to adjust the formula, the format. And we are going to change from not consistent format to be number and with 4 decimal places. And we are going to make all the information become center outline. We are going to make all border, and we are going to make thick outside border. And finally, we are going to make the heading become bold, and we are going to use the highlight as green. After you have performed this all step, you are going to stop recording. Okay? Once you stop recording, you will have the macro that will perform the following tasks for you. First, you go to the macro and then select the name of the macro that you would like to run and then click run. Okay? Let me show you again. Sorry, I prefer delete. Once you have record macro, you can run your record macro by go to the macro button. Select the name of the macro and then click run. Okay. And if you do not want to go into the difficulty in run macro, the second approach is you on the developer tab, you click insert. You will see the form control. I have to mention that actually Visual Basic can do a lot of things, but since we have limited amount of time, I am teach maybe 5 or 10% of Visual Basic. And right now, we are going to use button. Button, after you click button, you will see this cursor. You then press the left click button and drag so that the button appear exactly as the one you want it to be appear. And after you release your left mouse click, you will see this window. You then select the one that you want to link to the button and then click OK. Okay. So actually, we want to write some information on the button and then I am going to write it as click to run. So if you want to run the macro, you don't have to go to the previous step that I have showed you, but you can click to run and the macro will be run. If you have any question, please let me know. Again, if you have any question, please let me know. If not, actually, we should, actually Microsoft Excel have convert all steps that we have performed to be Visual Basic. And you can look at the Visual Basic by clicking the Visual Basic button. After that, go to the modules. And after that, go to the first module. So Microsoft Excel have convert all steps that we have performed into the Visual Basic for us. Okay? Yes, pardon? Second, which one? How to make this one? Okay. So first, let me cut it. If you want to insert button, you then go to developer tab and then you click insert. And then you will see the form control. For today, we are going to use button form control. When we click on this, the cursor will be changed. You then press the left click mouse button and drag so that the button appear as the one you want it to be look like. After you release left mouse button, you will see this window. Okay, you then select the macro that you want it to be linked to the button, and after that you click OK. However, button 2 mean nothing, so that we are going to change the name button 2 to be the one that means something, so that for this case, it's going to be click to run. Okay? And after you change the name of the button, when you delete this information and then you click the button, it's gonna be the same as running the macro. Okay? Okay. Are there any further questions? So please look at the one that you have performed in the first week. Okay? Because actually the formula gonna be the same as the one you did in the first week, and most of the time you forgot to put dollar sign where you should put. Let me say it again, and it is important. It's gonna be the cost. So the one that you have learned in the previous week must be used in the week that we are right now at, and also the future week. Therefore, if you do not remember what we have done in the first week, you will have problem studying this course. Don't forget that K1 is 0.5, K2 is 0.2. And if you have used different value, you're going to get different result. Do not forget that in my demonstration, CA0 is 1.5, K1 is 0.5, K2 is 0.2. And if you have used different value, you're going to get different result. I mean, actually, you can check the result up to time equal to t, because actually most of the time, if you get the initial time correct, the final time will also be correct. So I think it's okay for you to check just until time equal to 3. Are there any further questions before we go on and we are going to record the second macro? The second macro is for plotting the curve. If you have any question, please let me know. If you want to delete the button, you will go to the button and press the right click button in Microsoft Excel or actually other Microsoft program also mean option. And you cannot find delete, you can find cut. When you click cut, that means you're gonna delete the button. Okay? Okay. Are there any questions? Okay. If not, we are going to record the second macro, and the second macro is for the plotting the curve. And I hope you still remember how to plot the curve. Okay. When we are going to record the second macro, we have to click record macro button. And then you have to give the name. And in this case, I am going to use plot CACBCC. And in the description, I am going to write it as this is to plot the curve of CA, CB, and CC at different time. Okay? After you click OK, the same thing gonna happen. The procedure that we have performed will be recorded, and you want the correct procedure to be recorded, not the incorrect one. Therefore, you have to use your knowledge in the first week. Okay? If everyone is ready, I am going to click OK. But if someone is not ready, please raise your hand. By the way, do not forget to press stop recording. Otherwise, your macro will get bigger and bigger, and then you will run out of the memory. So please do not forget to stop recording macro. Okay? Are you ready? You okay? Then we are going to record the second macro. You go to the developer tab, then press the record macro, then give the name of the macro. You can skip the description, and you can click OK. Okay. Once you're gonna click OK, then you're gonna do the following. You're gonna select the range that include TCACBCC up until the last row of CACB and CC. Okay, then I encourage you to use your mouse to move up, and then you click insert. Okay, then you click select the XY scatter. You select the type of the chart that you want it to appear. Okay, and do not do anything else to the chart. Go to the developer tab and then stop recording. If you do anything to the chart, it's gonna be very easy that you're gonna see the error when you run the macro. So please do not do anything to the chart. Once the chart appear, then stop recording. Okay. So what happening is that now we have the two macro. The first macro we're gonna calculate. The second macro we're gonna plot the curve. Okay. So if you have any question, then please let me know. Let me show you it again. When you run the first macro CACB and CC at time equal to 0 up until time equal to 20 will be record. And then when you run the second macro, you're gonna plot the curve. Second, are there anything you want to modify to this macro? Do you understand what I mean? Are there anything you want to modify to this macro? Are there anything else you want to modify? First, I think most of us agree that we do not want to run the second macro. We just want to click one button and then finish all the job. Okay, so then let me delete all the data and then move to the Visual Basic. Okay, we can done that by go to the Visual Basic. And if you have not seen the code over here, you go to the module. Click on the module and then you will see module 1. The one that we have record is saved in this module 1. Okay, you can change the name of the module if you want by go to the module name over here and then type in the new name. You don't have to do it. But I want to show you that actually we can change the module names. Then before the, okay, first of all, this is the first record macro. Okay, this is the first record macro, the one that C, A, C, B, and C, C. Before the last line of the first record macro, we then type call. Call means we are going to run the macro within the other macro, and the command call must be followed by must be followed by the name of the macro that we want to run. For example, in this case, when the first macro run into this line, it will call the second macro to plot the curve. Okay. Are there any questions? Then, if you do not see, if you do not see the code, do the following. Double click on the module. When you double click on the module, you will see that there will be the weak T and change the name. So you select this one, double click, and then you will see the code. And once you see the code, you write this command. This command means that we are going to call the macro whose name is plot CACBCC, which in our program means plot the curve. Okay? Once you have done that, if you go back to your Microsoft Excel and then you click the button, all two macro will be run. All macro must begin with the sub and must end with the end sub. Therefore, you can locate the last line of the first sub by looking at end sub. Ends mean the end, sub is the abbreviation for sub program. Okay. Since you want to call the second sub within the first sub, then you must add this sentence before the end of the first sub. Okay, since you want to call the second sub within the first sub, this statement must be added before the end of the first sub. The first sub, the name is called CACBCC. The second sub, the name is plot CACBCC. Okay, so next we are going to use the input box. What do you mean by that? For now, the value of CA0, the value of K1, the value of K2 is fixed at the value that we use when we record. And we want all the three value to be changed. And that's why we use the input box. First of all, I hope you can locate the cell that contain the value of CA0 and is in cell B90. Okay? Therefore, we look at the record macro, the first record macro, and we look for the range A19. Okay? Now you can see that it's range B19 over here. And we can see that right now this command means that we select cell B19. And the command that follow is the active cell become B19. And the formula in this cell become 1.5. We're gonna change it to be input box. Input box means we are going to create the box that the user will add some value. And in this case, the value that the user gonna ask is CA0. Okay? Therefore, when the program run to this line, there will be the input box for the value of CA0. When the user add the value of CA0, the value of CA0 will be kept in cell B90. If you have any question, please let me know. If you have any question, please let me know. If not, we're gonna do the same for B20 and E20. B20 is the cell that contains the value of K1 and E20 will be the cell that contains the value of K2. Therefore, we move downward into the program and we can see the range B20 over here. Okay? This command means that we click on cell B20 and the following command means that in this cell we are going to put 0.5 and therefore we're going to change it to become input box K1 with the unit of 1 over 6 and K1. Okay, so when we are at this, statement, we're going to have the input box appear and the input box will tell the user that please fill in the value of K1 in 1 over 6. Okay. And we are going to do the same for cell E20. Therefore, we move downward until we see the cell E20. Again, this means we double click on cell E20 and the following statement means we put 0.2 into this cell. Therefore, we're going to change it to become input box. Value of K2, 1 over 6 and K2. Okay, and I mean your cell might be different from mine because we might begin with different row, but you are going to look for the same thing that I have mentioned about. Are there any questions? If not, the last thing that we are going to do is we are going to put message box. Our message box is mean that the program is finished. Therefore, we add message box. And the syntax is message box. Program is finished. Okay? If you don't want any symbol, then you use 2 comma. If you don't want any symbol appear in the box, then you use 1 comma and second comma, followed by the name of the message box, which in this case I use it as bye bye. Okay. And once you have done all of the steps, and when you run the macro, if everything is correct, you're gonna see the following command message box. The first one is CA0. You can type in any value you want. The second message box is K1. You can type in any value you want, but please make sure that your K1 and K2 are not the same. Then you can see the third message box, which gonna be the value of K2. You can type in any one you want, but please do not type in the same value as K1. And once you have finished all the steps, you can see the calculation, you can see the graph, and you can see this message box. Once you click OK, then the macro will stop. Okay. Are there any questions? Are there any problems? If you have, please raise your hand. Let me go back to the. If you have finished the exercise, you can start on the classwork. The classwork is actually the same as the first week, but you're gonna record macro. You're gonna add the input box. Yes. Every time you run the macro, the chart will be constructed. And therefore, if you run the macro several times, you're gonna have the several chart. Okay, are there any question? If you have any question, please let me know. If not, you can start working on the exercise. Sorry, the classwork. The classwork can be done in group of 3 or group of 2, depend on your choice. Do not forget to write the name of the members. And for this week, what you are going to do is you are going to go back to the exercise that you have done in the first week, sorry, in the to the classwork that you have done in the first week, but this time you are going to record macro. And then you're gonna add the input box. Okay. In the first week, we have not record macro. In the first week, we have not put the input box. For this week, you have to record macro, and later on, you have to modify the macro by adding the input box so that the lowest pressure at the outlet is input by the user so that the interval of the pressure at the inlet is input by the user. If you have any question, please let me know. But if not, then you can start working on the classwork, and the classwork can be group of two or group of three. But do not forget to write the name of the member into the worksheet. Again, the class assignment, the classwork actually is the same as the first week, but in this week you are going to have to record macro. Then you have to modify your record macro so that the lowest pressure and the interval of the pressure at the outlet of the turbine can be put into the input box. You have until noon, which gonna be about 1 hour and 50 minutes. If you want to check your calculation, you can check with my file. Okay, if you want to check with my calculation, you can check with the one appear here. You don't have to plot the curve, just calculate the work and the temperature at the outlet of the turbine. If you want to check, you can put PL1 min as 1.5 and delta PL1 as 0.5. When PL1 is 1.5 and PL1 is 2, you're gonna have the condensation for the isentropic turbine, so that the calculation in these two pressure will not be accurate. If you have any question, you can come and ask me. When you save the file, do not forget that you gonna save it as Excel macro enable workbook. Otherwise, you gonna lose your macro. When you save your macro, don't forget that you must save as Thai Excel macro enable workbook. Otherwise, you're gonna lose your macro. We have 1 hour left. If you have any question, you can come and ask me.